Hey guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a knife video for you. Today I've got a bit of a comparison between the Kizer Odin and the We Knives 037. Both sort of long, lean titanium frame locks. There is a bit of a difference in price here, but otherwise, in terms of the specs here, they're very, very similar. So I can absolutely see someone, either looking at the Kizer and asking themselves, should they spend a little extra and go up to get the features on the Wii, or maybe they don't make enough difference. They're thinking, hey, I like this. I like something long and slim and easy in pocket, but man, the Kizer is like 90 bucks less. Maybe I should go that way. So, let me know your thoughts down below, especially as we work through these various features here, because there will be some things that are different enough that somebody might go, no way, I like the Kizer better for this or that reason, or I like the Wii better for, again, this or that specific thing that's more valuable to me. Beginning with size and weight, these are very similar in this regard. This is 8 7/8. This is 9 inches. The blade length on this guy is going to be 4 1/16, where down here we're 3 15/16, so they're within an eighth of an inch. They're basically both 4-inch blades. All right, basically again, both 5-inch handles. In fact, they're the exact same size, just a hair under 5 inches. The grip area on these again is very, very close. So 4 inches, down here, and 3 7/8 up here. The last thing is the Wii does weigh a little bit less, 4 ounces right on the nose. This guy is going to be 4.6 ounces. So how does that translate into carry? Frankly, in pocket, these are very, very similar. The Wii is just a hair more comfortable, largely because of that rounded edge. So it's a little nicer to have that nice round contour against your leg than, this more squared off knife. And this is a little bit lighter, but, 0.6 ounces I don't think is really worth making a big deal about. The other important factor here is that the Kizer is just a little bit thinner. So because they're so close in this regard, I'm actually gonna call them a tie. It's just, in my opinion, too close to call. So that first discussion, size, weight, and how easy they are to carry, they're so close that I don't really think we can make a strong distinction. However, moving on to the blade, it'll probably be a little bit easier. Okay, right off the bat, we've got M390 steel with a clip-ish point blade here, swedge, bead blasted finish, high flat grind. M390 steel, I already mentioned, very, very thin behind the edge. Okay, so this is a pretty slicey. Come on, there we go. This is a pretty slicey blade. Now, I will point out here, the blade stock on both of these is about the same, just right around an eighth of an inch. The Kizer definitely carries a lot more material out to the tip. There's much more of a distal taper here on the Wii. Now, that could be something you appreciate or something you don't. All right, also notice that the Kizer is going to have every bit, in fact, it's even more than its blade length in cutting edge. So it's got a full 4 inches of cutting edge. Well, this guy's sitting at around 3 5/8. That's probably something that some of you are going to consider as well. Now, of course, the M390 versus S35VN is not anything to just ignore. However, right, the fact is that for the average knife user, you would never notice this difference. Okay, only a very small few of us are going to notice that difference. The other thing is, I've got to say, the blade on the Kizer is, despite being fairly thin and still quite slicey, is going to be a little bit tougher because it carries more material. So the question you've got to really ask yourself in this regard is, would I rather have the somewhat thinner M390, or would I have the extra toughness of the Kizer? And just keep bearing in mind that the Kizer is still very thin and very slicey. It's just going to deliver a little extra toughness. And that's a pretty difficult distinction to make, guys. In fact, maybe too difficult for some of us. And now some of us will right away say, oh, I like the toughness better. Some of us will say right away, I like the M390 better. Overall, for me and my uses, because neither one of these strikes me as what I would call a hard use knife. And so because of that, I'm going to pick the M390 and the slightly thinner blade as the winner for me, because to me, this fits this genre of knife a little bit better. Okay, so M390 steel, very, very thin. I don't love the bead blasted finish. I will take points away for that, but at the end of the day, I'm still going to give the win to the to the Wii 037. All right, moving on now to lockup and deployment, or sometimes we might call this action. Both of these, of course, are titanium frame locks with lock bar inserts on bearings with fairly small flipper tabs. You know, it's interesting how similar these flipper tabs actually are. If you just look at them kind of side by side, they do look a lot alike. In terms of the action and how they feel, this one is pretty easy to call, guys. So the Wii knife, as probably all of you would expect, has a smoother action. It's a little bit snappier, a little bit cleaner. The Kizer, you know, it's still very good, but it's, you know, it's not going to be, and frankly we wouldn't expect it to be quite in the same category as the Wii. I will give this one qualification. It's not super noticeable, but the Kizer's lock bar is just a little bit more accessible. Now, I've got to say, I've never had a hard time accessing this lock bar. You know, I can easily open and close the knife without giving it a thought. However, you know, there's just a little bit more comfort there on the Kizer. So I've got to mention that. Well, still, again, when it comes down to an actual winner, if you felt these, and, you know, this is something that's pretty hard to translate through a camera, all I can tell you is when you know, let this blade fall, when you deploy the knife, it's very noticeable that the Wii is significantly better. Just smoother, faster, more refined is what I would call it. And that would generally be what I would say about most Kizers versus most Wiis, okay? So fairly simple to call the Wii the winner on that one, the 037. Finally, let's move down to the handle. Again, both titanium frame locks. We've got carbon fiber inlays on the Kizer with a bead blasted finish and a backspacer. Lanyard is integrated into that backspacer. Both have a milled titanium clip here. Now, there's a couple of differences. First, this is very nicely contoured and very heavily milled out internally. Having a hard time showing you that part. You can kind of see it right there. Okay, and that is where the weight reduction comes on these two knives. You know, if this was not milled out at all, it would probably be very close in weight to the Kizer. Because of those, the 3D contouring, I have to say the ergonomics on this are definitely better. All right, you're definitely going to notice. Now, the Kizer is not uncomfortable, and I have no complaints about the ergonomics. I would call this good and this great, okay? So that's a small difference, but it's certainly worth pointing out. The internal milling, again, is something that's worth noticing. And the other thing I've got to say, the Kizer is a pretty standard titanium frame lock. It's nice to see the carbon fiber inlay there. That's a bit of a departure from Kizer, so very, very welcome. The Wii, the handle has a lot of really interesting stuff going on. So the way it's assembled, these two sides actually kind of slot together, and then these screws go in the back, which I think is brilliant. The titanium, the milled clip here is recessed into the handle, which makes it more comfortable, and they've done such a great job with the way they've recessed this that it still goes in and out of pocket as easily as any knife I've ever tried. So there are a couple little strikes of brilliance on the Wii that make it stand out a little bit for me, and again, you know, make it a pretty easy choice to call it the winner. Now, having said that, I'm sure that there will be some people who look at this and maybe they don't love the milling. By the way, it has a very specific purpose. It's to help with extraction. Maybe you like that really nicely patterned carbon fiber, and it is very, very attractive. So I wouldn't blame you if you did. So overall, okay, I can see why someone would choose the Kizer over the Wii, especially with the price point. But as I've gone through, you know, I think in fairly objective, measurable ways, the Wii does some things a little bit nicer. The ceramic bearings, the feel of the action, the snappiness of the detent, the feel in hand, which is fantastic. Those little details that are kind of innovative and cool, all of those things are going to make the Wii an overall winner for me. However, I don't think we can just totally neglect the Kizer, okay? For one, the price point is much, much lower, and the action is very good. It's not like this is like, oh, this is great action, this is just garbage. Both of these are very smooth, very fast, very comfortable, and so you're getting almost everything that the Wii is offering in the Kizer only for, almost $100 less, like 90 anyway. So I can see people wanting that. I can see people wanting that extra cutting edge. I can see people wanting the extra toughness there. I know, we're very conditioned as a knife community to look at steels and kind of in our minds have this hierarchy. And definitely on that hierarchy that we all kind of use and buy into, M390 is absolutely higher. Okay, and it does have better properties. If you recall back from Knife Nerds graphing and testing, M390 did extremely well in all of that testing, although S35VN was tougher. Okay, so in terms of edge retention, no question which one's going to be the winner here. Although, again, I think we have to ask ourselves a serious question if we would even really notice. And I know Pete brought up in a video from a couple of weeks ago whether or not, if someone secretly changed all your knives to HCR 13 MOV, who would notice? So there's that consideration as well. And so I've tried to muddy the waters here on purpose to give the Kizer a little more credibility. For me, though, it's the WE-037 all the way. Yeah, the WE-037, I'm going to say this, is one of the most practically, functionally thought out knives, certainly in WE's lineup, but really out there, period, right? Every single thing that they've done with this knife is about making it a better knife. And I love that. And I wish more companies would be that thoughtful and that careful about the designs that they come up with. So there you go, guys. That's my comparison. Make sure that you check the links down in the description box. These two came from both came from channel sponsors. This is from White Mountain Knives. This is from Southern Edge Knife Works. I can't promise you that they have them in stock, but I can promise you that if you use my link, you can save a little bit of money. So 15% from Southern Edge Knife Works, 10% from White Mountain Knives. Plus, it helps the channel by kind of telling them, hey, it's worthwhile giving Kevin a break on knives because he sends some business your way. So there you go, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We will talk to you soon.